fighting for freedom every day.
They are absolutely desperate to pretend the last 4 years never happened and for them to go back to what they liked to do before, which is create these massive spending bills to pretend that it's really, really important to you when you only get about 5% of what's in the bill, and they can't do it because we're aware of it. We're paying attention to it, and they don't like that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
You are darn right. It's the Voice of Reason. Welcome back into the program. We are back at it live. It's been a couple of days, so great to have you along for the ride today. Radio and TV, plus the live streaming. We have the podcasting as well. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a post Monday, the pre-Friday celebration, one of the greatest days of the entire week. Thanks for joining us here on the Voice of Reason. I am Andy Hooser, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station. All over the country. I have to admit, today's going to be a tough one. Today is a tough day indeed, and I have a lot I want to cover. There's a lot that we need to get to with the show, with content, with news and politics and things that we do every day, but I need to explain my absence over the last couple of days, not to mention the news that broke today that is very devastating. I'm going to do my darndest not to get all upset and teary-eyed. I'm going to try, which I think just proves the point of how influential this individual was. Of course, you've been hearing the news today that Rush Limbaugh passed away at the age of 70 due to his stage 4 lung cancer. And it's a tough one. Got to admit, it's a tough one. I know that other hosts have said this as well. I'm going to be another one on that bandwagon to say that I would not be able to do what I do with this program, and if it was not for someone like Rush Limbaugh, who did that so many years ago in 1988. I've always felt that I had a little bit of a weird connection with Rush Limbaugh because I was born the same year that he went national. He went national in August of 1988. I was born in October of 1988. So I therefore think that it was his creational mojo that was able to create the Voice of Reason all the way back when and make something like this happen. So what he did was obviously everybody's calling him the pioneer, the trend setter, the person that said, you know what, we're just going to break the mold on media and news, and we're going to go and do our own thing, opinionated-wise, on AM talk radio. And he obviously broke the mold, and look at where we're at now. He is by far the pioneer, by far the trend setter that allowed us to do this. So we would not be able to do this unless it was for him, and he is a legend for that. Whether you like him, whether you agree with him, whether you disagree with him, you have to admit that he was definitely a trend setter and that he was a very much an influencer that reached over 600 radio stations across the nation. Someone that reached over 22 million people a week with his show. And that's something you can't take for granted. So even if you don't like someone like Rush Limbaugh, you have to give him credit for what he was able to do with his show and the fact that he was at the top of those ratings, the top of everybody's favorability for that long, since 1988. For 32 years, as long as I have been alive, he's been at the top, and everybody loves him for that. That's very hard to do, especially in a cutthroat industry like media altogether and talk radio. When you look at ratings, quarterly ratings, yearly ratings, radio stations and how shows do, and he's been up there. I've always said that it's very hard as a talk radio host, especially trying to establish yourself, because you almost have that personal connection with the talk show host, don't you? You listen to them every single day. They are a part of your life. You listen to them about their stories. When they're upset about things, you get into their mind to understand how their thought process works. You learn a little bit about their personal life. They're almost like a member of the family. You get so involved with them. And then when they go, it's a terrible feat. It's a very terrible thing. It is true. It's truly a sad thing. Now, here's the funny part. My family was never political. I've told you that before. My family was never political. They were never into politics. They never listened to talk radio. How I became a political individual, I have no idea, because they never got involved in politics. I remember the first time I heard Rush Limbaugh. I was actually working in high school, and I had a radio on in the back. I was working at a feed store at the time, selling hay and grain and that stuff for animals and for farmers in the area. And I had it in the back. We had the load of just grain, the stacks, the 50-pound bags of food, and I was unloading the pallets to put in where they needed to be, and we just had a radio on in the background, and I started listening to it, and hey, this is kind of nice. And I enjoyed it. And that's the same time I started getting involved in politics, getting involved in civics and government class and that sort of thing, debate in high school, and I really enjoyed it, to the point where I was taking my lunch breaks in school. In high school, I would take my lunch and I would go to my car and I would listen to Rush Limbaugh in my car during my lunch break in high school. Oh, yes. It was I guess you could call it, I guess I was a Rush baby. I mean, I didn't grow up as a little kid with him because my parents didn't listen to it, but I found him myself, and I had listened ever since. And there are a few talk show hosts that were very influential for me. Of course, Rush Limbaugh being the first one, Mike Rosen, who I got to intern for and got to be involved with when I first got into radio, Mark Walters with Armed American Radio, that really helped me take this show to the next level, and I've worked with him as a personal friend. There's a lot of different talk show hosts that I'm very influential of, that I try and take a little bit to create the genre of talk radio that we have here. But Rush Limbaugh was definitely the first one, with the sarcasm, with the satire bits that we like to do, all stem from the idea of taking the absurd and making things absurd to express absurdity. And that's really what he did, and he was an excellent person at doing so. At the same time, when I got into college, I bought my first cigars because of Rush Limbaugh. I spent money on a beautiful, and I still have it too, by the way, I spent on a beautiful oak or cherry oak humidor. And it's beautiful, and I still have it. It's in pristine condition with all the travels, with all the years. I still have it, and it was a special that he had done with his sponsor at the time, Thompson Cigar, where it was the cherry oak humidor, and it was like 20 or 25 cigars in a sampler kit, and I bought that in college, and it was like $200, $300, and I spent the money on that, and since then I've enjoyed cigars. So tonight is my little tribute to Rush Limbaugh, that I will be smoking a cigar in tribute to him and in honor of him, because he has been a huge impact in my life, and I bawled my eyes out when he got that Freedom Award from President Donald Trump last year during the State of the Union speech, and I've been a little teary-eyed throughout the day today. So it's been tough, and we lose a true hero. We lose a true fighter, but at the same time, I'm so honored to be one of the few, one of the very, very many of them, one of the many, I guess, to be able to take a little bit of that torch and try and carry it on and continuing that fight on radio and on TV and on social media and on the online presence to try and continue that fight for conservatism the way he did so well. And is that unity that really the Republican or conservative movement within the Republican Party has had, with everybody going to Rush Limbaugh for that main source, with him dispersing and with many of those listeners maybe trickling to find those other talk show hosts that they like. Hopefully we can continue on that mantle in just a little form of his. By no means, nobody's going to be able to fill the shoes of Rush Limbaugh, especially this guy. But maybe if we can take a little bit of that and be able to run with it with the new generation of talk radio, the new generation of conservatism, with the legacy of someone like Rush Limbaugh and all those other greats. That's my tribute to you, my friend. The Millennial General, tributing to Rush Limbaugh. So we appreciate him very much. I did find, and this was hat to actually Donald Trump Jr., on social media, he found one of Rush Limbaugh's last public appearance speeches that he gave the last couple of years when Donald Trump was in office. And I wanted to play just a little clip of that for our little tribute to him as well, because what he said in this clip is probably one of the most important things that we could possibly focus on in today's age in the political realm.
So hard to defend the president. I said, what? Hard to defend the president is one of the easiest things in the world to do. President Trump does not need to be defended. The people that need to be defending themselves are the people attacking him and the people attacking us. He doesn't need to be defended. How do you defend Donald Trump? You attack the people who are attempting to destroy him. They're trying to destroy you. They're trying to transform this country into something that it was not founded to be. That's how you do it. I find that it's so incredible that people think, oh my gosh, it's hard. It's so hard to, it is not hard to, folks, we're not in a standard political environment where the Democrats win and then the Republicans win. We share power, we trade power. We are in a war. We are in a war for the kind of country America is going to be. There's always going to be an America. But the war being waged now is aimed at overthrowing the principles of our founding.
It really does drive home a point of what we're fighting and what we're up against, right? We're always going to have an America, but what kind of America will we look like with the Democrats taking over, with their absolute hatred, the foaming at the mouth, the viral rabies that they have, with their eyes glaring and the foaming at the mouth and going against conservatives and Trump today. And Rush Limbaugh points it out like he always did so eloquently with a speech like that. So his message is what needs to be our war call, I guess you could say, metaphorically speaking, to be able to move forward and continue to fight for what we fight for. on this show and so many other places as well. So mega dittos, my friend. Rush Limbaugh, you are a legend, and we appreciate what you've done, and thank you for allowing opportunities for like crazy guys like this to go on the radio and spat weird things all the time and get people all kinds of riled up. So we appreciate you very, very much, my friend. Now, my absence over the last couple of days, it's been a wild one. It's been weird. It's been extremely cold here in the Wichita areas. Yesterday, we had like wind chills of negative 24 degrees, and we've had different power outages. We've had we've had like circulating blackouts from the energy companies, which is really strange, but none of that was why I was actually missing a couple of days. Monday was kind of, sort of, but not really as well. We've had a couple family issues. Not like super bad, but, kind of weird. So Monday, our water heater went out in the home, which was a little bit of a surprise because that water heater has only been in that house for like 4 years. So it's a relatively decent water heater, but it went out. So we had cold water, and because of the rolling blackouts and because of electrical issues, and they were going to do rolling blackouts to certain parts of the town, I was concerned that we'd be in the middle of a live stream broadcast, and then they would cut the power at the station, and that we wouldn't be able to do the broadcast. So I figured, you know what, the best thing to do, record the show, get it up, get it loaded, and we didn't have a live stream on Monday. I apologize for that, but at the same time, I was able to get home and we could address a water heater issue. Now, come to find out, yesterday, the reason we were gone was a bit of a family issue as the water heater saga continued but went a little bit deeper. Come to find out, and we only got a minute before our break here, but come to find out, we really had a deeper issue of back in October when we got a new roof on the house as we were kind of remodeling and getting things all situated, getting moved back in and settled into a new home. We had the roof done because of hail damage from earlier in the spring. The roofing company had capped off the smokestack from the furnace, like put the cap on it too high or too low onto it and sealed it to where it couldn't release a whole lot of stuff. So now with the cold weather, it kind of all backed up in there. It went down, it backed into the water heater that caused the damage to the water heater, and it was leaking carbon monoxide into the home, which explains a lot why the wife's been kind of having headaches the last few days. We've been kind of drowsy and not feeling well the last couple of days, so thank God everybody's all right. You don't have to worry about us, but we got it fixed. We no longer have a carbon monoxide leak in the home, but it's also led to some other serious damages that I can't really go into because of potential litigation that may be coming up here very soon that's going on with the home. But nonetheless, we are safe. We are okay. It was a concern for a while, but we're all good, back at it, ready to rock and roll. So that's why we're back. We're ready to do this thing again, and all is well. So thank God. And luckily, the water heater was kind of the message of, hey, you have a bigger problem. So again, signs seem to be popping up and taking care of itself every single day. And we appreciate that.
The voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program, 24 minutes past the hour. Thanks for hanging out with us today, radio, TV, and the live streaming, plus the podcasting as well. Your Millennial General reporting for duty. Thank you for, by the way, the kind messages. You don't need to worry. Got some messages on the email. I got some private messages in the Facebook comments. Thank you. No, we're okay. Everything's all right. We're all good. It is kind of scary, though. So I did get a question, Andy. Did you have a carbon monoxide detector? We have one upstairs, but we didn't have one downstairs near the furnace, which probably we need to. So we have one now, but we didn't then. But it did explain, because it's been it was like really hot in the basement where Mrs. Voice of Reason and I's room was, but it was a little bit cooler upstairs. And just the last couple of days, we've had our routine. We wake up a little bit earlier. We do some exercise to get moving in the morning. I take my cold shower. We have a nice quiet breakfast. We do our thing, kind of get moving for the day. And it's just been really I've really been struggling to get up and move in the last couple of days. The Mrs. Voice of Reason having some headaches really bad, which we just thought it was her lupus because she has some medical issues. So we just kind of blew it off there. Yeah. But come to find out, luckily it was the plumber that was installing the water heater that said something's not right here. These pipes should not be this hot, and ended up finding out the issue. So thank you for the concern. All is well. All is good. And it could have been dangerous, but we, again, someone's looking out for us and making it the fact that we're actually surviving and doing okay. So all is well, and it's inconvenient for this time when it was negative 25 outside, but it's 20 degrees out today, and things are all looking up, and, we just continue on to do what we do. So all is well. I can't really give a whole lot more detail just because of some potential litigation that may be involved with some of this that's causing other damage in the house as well. But at the end of the day, all is safe, and you know what? It all works out, so I'm not too terribly worried about it. So there is that. Coming up after the bottom of the hour, Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th District of Ohio. We get about a once-a-month interview with him to get the latest on what's going on in Washington, D.C., what kind of legislation he's working on, and Are they getting rolling blackouts in the Ohio area? Now, like usual, we sat down with him earlier this morning, and it was like a 20-minute interview. We can only play about 8 or 9 minutes of it on the air, so we'll have a special feature with an additional podcast download later today that you'll be able to listen to and listen to the entire extended special edition of the interview, which I highly recommend, especially with this one. He talks about some really, really cool stuff, so you're not going to want to miss that. We'll have that podcast as a separate additional special featured download of the podcast later on in the show, but we'll air that interview coming up after the bottom of the hour as well. It's finally here, though, as we talk about, I guess you could say that it's a what's trending today.
What's trending today?
Outside of the sad story from Rush Limbaugh, there are other things going on today as well. One of them being the, of course, extreme cold in Texas and the entire Mid-America region, with Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas and Nebraska and the Dakotas and Colorado and Missouri and all these areas. I mean, we're seeing massively extreme cold weather where they are now saying it's due to, go figure, man-made climate change. Now, I was doing the news for the radio station earlier today, and it didn't come as a surprise to me, but it kind of came as a surprise to me. Remember how just like a couple days ago, they were saying that due to our lack of input to the atmosphere over the last year because of COVID, when we weren't doing manufacturing and we weren't driving cars and we cleared up all the smog, that we actually saw global warming happen last year, more so because we weren't putting things into the atmosphere to block and shield the sun. Remember that? They ran a big story on it. It was, man-made climate change. We're actually cooling the environment because we're blocking the rays of the sun. And since we didn't do that last year, then we saw heating. And the heating's going to continue on, and it's going to cause more climate change. Well, apparently, the climate change of global warming is so bad that now we're seeing the record colds, because now the AP story that I saw today said that according to the Associated Press, that scientists now say that the cooling is from man-made global warming that's pushing the Arctic weather away from the Arctic farther south to us, to where we get the cold effect from the Arctic, because we're shifting the climate or somehow, and now the Arctic winds are being pushed down here because of our man-made global warming that's going up north. So we're sending the warm up there, and it's sending the cold down here because we did that, and it's all our fault. Just to let you know. So you are killing the environment. You and your nice little windmills that have unfrozen now and can't move and can't actually give anybody power, so we're having blackouts. Thank you very much. You're killing the environment because you're sending that Arctic cold weather down here to us.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of...
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the Voice of Reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, you all. Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Wherever you may be, however may be listening or watching the program, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand it the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. That's what we do. Rush Limbaugh may be unfortunately gone. Rest in peace, brother. But you know what? We'll continue on with a new generation, new conservatism. Same conservatism, just by different voices, and we'll do it with a younger generation leading that charge. That's what we do. So thanks for hanging out with us today, and rest in peace, Mega Dittos, my friend. As we continue on with our tribute to Rush Limbaugh. I'm getting some comments about the climate change thing. We'll talk some more about that in a minute, because I'm curious about all those nice little wind farms and the turbines that are going, that are like frozen in Texas and in Colorado and in Kansas right now. So here, I did not realize this, but here in the state of Kansas, a third of our energy is done by wind power, a third by coal, and a third by natural gas. Okay, cool. You know what? Diversify. That's fine. Well, that's why we're apparently having these rolling blackouts. It's because all of the wind turbines are completely frozen, so we're down like a third of our energy production. Was not aware of something like that. So that's good to know. Maybe we should diversify a little bit more and realize, gee, maybe if it gets really cold, wind turbines aren't going to be the best solution. Unlike in the state of Ohio, as we talked with Congressman Bob Latta, where they have 2 nuclear plants and they haven't had any issues. What? I know, right? We sat down with Congressman Bob Latta just earlier this morning talking about the latest out of Washington, D.C. when it comes to COVID relief and with the energy and with what the Democrats are doing now that the impeachment trial is all done. Now what can they get angry about? What could they do now that the fact that, well, Donald Trump's really irrelevant now, so let's actually focus on policy issues. They didn't run on policy issues. They ran on hating Donald Trump. Well, they got their way, so now what are they actually doing? We sat down with the congressman from the 5th District of the state of Ohio, Bob Latta, earlier today, and this is what he had to say. Congressman, how are you, my friend?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing great, trying to stay warm, and it's always good to talk to you. I know last time I talked to you was in January, right after all the big shenanigans that happened to kick off a whole brand new 2021 year. Are things starting to settle down now, and are we actually getting back to business as normal, per se?
Well, what we're seeing is the Democrats are just ramming everything through Congress as if they've got a mandate from the American people. We know over in the Senate it's 50-50, and the vice president's going to be breaking those ties. But in the House, we're only 5 seats away from taking back the majority. The president said that he was going to be bipartisan. We're seeing nothing but partisanship coming from the Democrats. So what the American people are going to see is that they're going to try to roll out this piece of legislation through what they call reconciliation. And what that means is that they don't have to have 60 votes over in the Senate to get it through. Only needs that 1 vote. And so what we're probably going to see, them trying to do is everything from rolling back on the energy side. And, when you think about what we're experiencing right now, people are going to say, don't we need more energy? But we've seen and then also with the president's, 45-plus executive orders stopping the Keystone XL. And I know that because of when you look back to the winter vortex that we had back in 2014 when really everything just froze up around the entire country, we had 27 states that had a shortage of propane, and the problem wasn't that we didn't have the propane. We couldn't get from point A to point B, and part of the reason was that the trucks and the rail cars are being used to run oil, and we all know the safest way to transport oil and natural gas is through a pipeline.
Yeah.
So we're seeing the Democrats do that, raise taxes. I mean, it's going to be we've got to get this message out to the American people.
Yeah, it's important to really focus on because there are so many individuals that are freezing right now across the entire country. We've seen it in really low temperatures. It's wintertime, but more of an extreme winter than we've seen in a little bit. I know here in Kansas, we haven't seen this type of weather since like 1985, I think was the last time that it's actually been this cold. But in return, we're doing rolling blackouts in Nebraska, in Kansas, in Oklahoma, in these areas where the energy companies are shutting off our power for 30 to 60 minutes just because, well, you're using too much. We don't have enough energy to continue with what everybody needs. So we're going to do these rolling blackouts. I've never heard of a country like America being a first world country needing to worry about rolling blackouts to conserve energy. This is coming after they, like you mentioned, they cut the XL pipeline because, pipelines are really bad, apparently. They're against the fracking. They're against the natural gas. Joe Biden's executive order list that he went on for this first week or so of his administration was all about green energy, New Deal garbage. And yet now we're seeing a really cold front hit, and we're seeing the strain it's already putting on in the energy companies with years of them trying to ban all of these different types of energy in the country.
Well, American people, you just need to remember, during the Trump administration, we became pretty much the world's producer of natural gas. We outproduced everybody else in the world because, as you said, through fracking, we were able to produce more oil than Saudi Arabia or Russia on a given day. And all of a sudden, what we've seen from the Democrats and the socialists, they want to roll all this stuff back. But, I know of people that were on mission trips into Russia, and, their apartments would have no electricity during the day. So it's like that. I don't think the American people want to go there. And sure, if they say, "Oh, we want to make sure that we're saving the environment," but hey, facts speak for themselves. In the last 15 years, this country's reduced emissions by 20%. No one else in the world can claim that. Yeah. But we've done it in the United States and producing the energy that we needed. But on the other side, they want to shut this off, and the American people are going to feel that pain at the pump. Remember, during the Obama administration, our gas prices went up to $4.19 a gallon.
It's unbelievable. Real quickly, the last question on energy before we kind of move on, but oil and natural gas that we are fracking, that we are still drilling for, are we still energy independent at this moment? I know that Joe Biden has talked about invading Syria, and now we have issues with Iran right now, and we're starting to go back for oil across overseas. But with the attack on natural gas, with the attack on fracking, are we still energy independent like Trump got us to over the last few years, or are we moving away from that?
Well, you're going to see them pushing us away from it, and they'll do it by executive orders. Mm-hmm. And then the Democrats want to move us away from it. And again, as you said, that we got to heat our houses. We got to be able to make sure that we can turn on our factories. Base load capacity is so important for my district. There's 60,000 manufacturing jobs. All of a sudden, we're going to have people say, "Hey, I don't have a job anymore." Well, because the companies can't afford the energy. Before this new administration came in, I talked to people from around the world, and they were saying, "Hey, we want to come to the United States. Your energy costs are so low that we will build our plants in the United States and produce it right here." Yeah. We all know that we had an issue with COVID, that our supply chain was in deep jeopardy. But it's just absolutely ludicrous what we're hearing from the other side.
Well, and they're trying to ram it down our throats for sure. We're talking with Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th Congressional District of Ohio. Let's talk about some of the legislation that you've been working on and shift gears a little bit to COVID and the response to COVID. We've seen a major increase across the country. Mental health issues and depression and anxiety, people losing their jobs, people frustrated with the pandemic, the isolation that many are having to deal with. They're losing their jobs. You guys are working on some legislation to improve access to some mental health services because it's been more of a talking point over the years, but I think COVID over the last year has really taken it to another level of we need to address this issue, hasn't it?
Well, absolutely. And I introduced legislation in the last Congress called the Crisis Act. We want to make sure that we do have those services out there for individuals across our districts, because as you said, the stress levels have gone up tremendously, and people need these mental health services. And so we want to make sure that we get those to the people that need them. And at the same time, as you're talking about, treating people, I've got what they call the TREAT Act that I'm working on with some folks over in the Senate. We want to make sure that telehealth services are available out there for people, because again, during the pandemic, we saw right off the bat that emergency rooms are being overrun by people coming in, and we didn't have enough docs and medical personnel in certain areas. And so what could we do? And well, the easiest thing to do is let people from other states treat these people by telehealth services, and at the same time, keep these people out of the emergency rooms. And it's a win-win for everyone. But we're working on those right now because again, I believe they're absolutely essential. We're months away from getting through this thing, but the really good news is as of this morning, I get the numbers every day that we've had over 56 million vaccinations given in this country so far. Wow! When you're looking over almost around 330 million tests have been given. I always tell people, always remember that in the last administration with President Trump, Vice President Pence, that we were able to take a crisis like we had with COVID and move it in 9 months' time to having multiple vaccines out there being distributed across the country. Which, in any other given time, we'd still be talking about this for a couple of years. So, we are the envy of the world, and we should never forget that. I know there's a lot of folks out there on the other side like to always say how terrible it is here, but I tell you what, why are other people trying to get to the United States to get these COVID vaccinations?
There it is, Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th Congressional District in the great state of Ohio. Again, that was a shortened abbreviation of the interview. We went about, 17 minutes, 20 minutes long, and we could only air a little bit of that program on the program here. So we will have that as an extended podcast on the show after we upload the regular show podcast. We'll also upload that as a special feature with just the interview there. Make sure to listen to it because he gets deeper into the budgetary process with COVID relief, the $15 an hour minimum wage, the spending, which I was curious, and I did ask him this during the other parts of the interview we didn't get to air, but my understanding was that we could only spend a certain percentage of the GDP, like 18% of the GDP or something. That's not necessarily happening, and it's the reasoning why is because they're using the tricks around we didn't necessarily pass a budget. We passed an omnibus bill to where we could spend whatever we want to because it's not technically a legitimate budget. So because of that, you can spend as much of the GDP as you actually want, and that's in lieu of the fact that now we have nearly a $2 trillion spending deficit just for this year because of COVID-19, and we're trying to pass another $1.9 trillion budget spending bill for COVID alone that would double our deficit just for this year, which is absolutely absurd. So he goes into some more details about that with the COVID vaccine and energy as well in the nation. You're going to want to listen to that with the special feature with the extended version of our interview with Congressman Bob Latta here on The Voice of Reason. One more segment coming up here for a Wednesday. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use.
You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HoosierReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hoosierholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I still say the show goes by way too fast, and we probably need like another hour or two to make this happen. But we'll continue on with what we got. Welcome into the broadcast. Your Millennial General reporting for duty the way we do each and every day, trying to rebrand the Millennial Generation, one radio listener at a time. Thanks again to Bob Latta coming on the program. We appreciate that very much. Again, you can check out the extended interview on our podcast at The Voice of Reason. You can find on any of your podcasting sites, plus our live stream that we do on all of our social media. Follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn. Not the Parler right now until I heard Parler's up, but then it's not really up. I have it on my phone and I still can't access it. So who knows if that's going to be up. But make sure to definitely follow us on our Facebook, our YouTube, our Twitch page. Not necessarily Twitter. I'm kind of done with Twitter. I've not made a post on Twitter in a really long time. But we do have an Instagram as well. I don't take a whole lot of pictures. I don't do the selfie thing. But if you really want me to, then I guess I can. But we really would appreciate if you follow us on our YouTube page at Hoosier Reason and on our Twitch.tv page at Hoosier Reason and our Facebook page, facebook.com/Hoosier Reason as well, plus our website at HoosierReason.com. Of course, you can find all of our stuff there, links to all of our social media. You can find the podcast on there as well and more. So appreciate you doing all of that. So I have to admit, and this is, again, unpopular opinion, but I've been enjoying the cold weather. Maybe not the negative 22 degrees. Although yesterday I walked outside, started my car, went to work, got out of my car, walked into my job here at the studio, all with that negative 16 degrees. That's not including the wind chill, just negative 16 degrees. And I did it in my T-shirt. And the wind wasn't blowing. The sun was kind of out, so it felt kind of nice. But outside of that, people are not enjoying this at all, and we've had these rolling blackouts, which has made me very frustrated because I was jokingly made the comment of we're 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the Biden administration, and now all of a sudden we're having rolling blackouts and deep freezing temperatures. So thanks a lot, Joe Biden, for overcorrecting the whole global warming thing. Appreciate that. Yeah. I do appreciate that very much. But it goes into a deeper conversation. And I've been going through this personal transformation over the last really couple of years, year or two, where I'm really tired of having to rely on other people. I got to be honest. I'm really tired of it. I want my independence to do my thing in my life. I mean, that's why we're starting our own side business, where eventually, hopefully, the goal is to be able to do that full time on my own with this radio show. And with the Hoosier Media Network and the projects that we're starting with the Hoosier Media Network, that's our goal in the next couple of years, hopefully, to not have government health care because, and we don't have government health care right now. I'm just saying in general, we shouldn't have government health care because I'm tired of being dependent on others to rely on because of neediness, others to rely on because of shortfallings, or others because of depending on a paycheck, dependent on health care, dependent even on energy. This is really a trial in a point in case that you need to be a little bit more independent in what you do. I heard a news story, and look, me being a news guy during the day and have to cover news stories throughout the day and reading this, it drove me nuts. And I was like, this is a news story that I would never, ever, ever cover because if you don't know this stuff, then I don't know how to help you in life any longer. Got to be honest. It was a story about how it's really cold weather and you should probably lower your temperature to 65 to 68 degrees. And if you lose power, then to not open your refrigerator because then you would lose the coolness out of your refrigerator. Now, if you need a news person to tell you not to open your refrigerator unless you absolutely have to because you don't have any power, then I don't know how else to help you in life or in society because you're probably not smart enough to realize anything else outside of that. I'm just saying, You don't open your refrigerator unless you absolutely have to, because why? That would be stupid. And you would lose all the coolness, and you don't have any electricity to cool it down again. It's not that hard. But then with rolling blackouts, with the government literally telling you, or the energy company telling you, we don't have enough energy to supply all of you the temperatures that you want and all of the energy that you need. We're going to do temporary blackouts for 30 to 60 minutes, which they did in Nebraska, they did here in Kansas, they did in Oklahoma, I think. I mean, they're doing these rolling blackouts, and they say, we're going to take a sect of the community, we're going to do a blackout for 30 to 60 minutes to conserve energy so other people don't have to lose it because we ran out. Now, if that's not like third world crap, I don't know what is. I don't care if it's negative 50 outside. We should be able to handle something like that. But it makes me realize I just don't like this. I don't like being dependent on anyone for anything. If I want to succeed, I want to make sure I'm succeeding on my own, which is the most basic conservative principle out there. And that's maybe the message that we need to breach out and kind of talk to other people about, to bring them onto the conservative message of, hey, you don't need to be relying on the government for your health care, because if they can provide it to you, they can take it away. With your energy, if they give it to you and you accept it, then they can take it away at the same time, just like that. And to me, that's a concerning thought. It's time for some individualism again. It's time for a little bit of independence again. And this, I think, cold streak has really proven that point that I don't think Democrats are going to get, but we can try to rub it in their face. It does it for us today. Back at it tomorrow. We got a laundry list of guests for the rest of the week and next week as well. Until then, I'm Andy Hooser. It's the Voice of Reason. Everybody have a great Wednesday evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.